Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Now, I've previously done videos on this. Preston Journalist has previously done videos on this. And of course, Craig Houston has previously done videos on this. And we've all come to a similar sort of conclusion about SNP funding now that they've lost all those seats. Because they're going to lose all the short money, of course, and they're going to lose all that cut of MPs' wages that MPs have to pay in. We've all come to the conclusion that it's about £1 million a year or so worse off. So 5 million or so, probably more because of all the other things added on, the expenses and that. I think Craig, in one of his videos, said it comes to about 6.5 million over the course of the next 5 years. And that's a lot of money that they just won't get. Well, news is reaching us. It's actually in the Daily Record, so it's not as though I've had to go looking for it. But the Daily Record have pointed out something which is way worse. Now, you've seen from the title of this video how bad it is. £10 million a year. Now, this isn't money that they're given into the party that they then spend things on. However, there is a rule about how MPs can employ people within Westminster. And we're going to have a look at this now. I'm just going to go through. I'm not going to read the whole article, but I'll read a couple of snippets from this article for you because you'll see that actually it's way worse. And I mean, incredibly way worse than anyone ever suspected. This is absolutely destructive to the party because they're losing all these people. They've lost them already. They've gone. All these researchers, all these spin doctors, all these communication clerks, things like that, that they're still employed, you understand. They're still employed by Parliament, but they've all been assigned to different MPs now. And so it's the equivalency of 10 million a year. It's about 9 million a year, but plus the other one. In terms of having people working for you that do your research, that put out your news, that push your projects and your ideology. And they've all gone. And this is irreplaceable. So, you know, it isn't just the sort of the 5 million, 6 million a year. Over the course of the 5 or 6 million pounds over the course of the next 5 years that Craig's been going on about, and I've been going on about, and everything. It's way, way worse. It's getting on for £60 million over the next 5 years. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but this whole loss, it's devastating for them. I mean, it's grand, it's fantastic. But these MP staffers, which are paid out of the parliamentary budget, well, that's work that just isn't going to get done for the party anymore. They can't afford to hire them to do that work. Yes, they get their short money, but they can only maybe afford 1 or 2 staffers per MP out of that short money, because a lot of that short money has to go to central funding to pay for things like office expenses, you know, and the HQ building rent and things like that. So they're going to be hard pushed. Stephen Flynn may actually have to do some real work as well as just standing there and giving it gobby. But this staffers, it says here, staffing budget. Let me just read a couple of bits here, and then I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's quite long. But staffing budgets for SNP MPs will fall by around £9 million annually after the election result. And this is on top of losing £1 million a year in short money due to the drop in seats and votes won and so forth. Alex Neil said, former SNP MSP, he said, these losses will be debilitating for the SNP. I think, Alex, I would go one step further and say that these will be terminal. I think this is absolutely terminal. He says this will present a great challenge for the SNP, as staff are the backbone of the party at Westminster and in MPs' offices. It will have a drastic impact on the SNP being able to propagate its case and communicate with voters. Ah, what a shame. How sad. Never mind. It is doom, isn't it? It is the doom of the SNP now. I don't think there's a way back. When you're losing 10 million £10 million worth of staffing a year, effectively. Who's going to do all the things that you've been doing for the last few years? Who's going to be, pushing out the propaganda? Who's going to be doing the copywriting here? Who's going to be organising that? Who's going to do the research and things? You haven't got the people to do it. And if you haven't got the people doing it, it doesn't get done, because the lazy sods down in Westminster aren't going to do their own work. It's a collapse. I don't think that they realise the full scale yet. I don't think they've realised how bad it's going to be until now. Once once Parliament, Westminster's back up and running, and they're looking around, they realise they don't have the staff, they don't have the people available to say, go out and work out how much that will cost, or go and find out those figures for such and such, because there'll be no one there to do it. It's going to break them. It's absolutely going to break them. Now, Professor James Mitchell, we've talked about him great length over the last couple of years on the channel. He's a man fitting straight in, Professor of Politics at Edinburgh University. He has a quote on this. He says, "The SNP was in great difficulty financially even before losing 39 MPs. It is now in a parlous state. The loss of so many full-time politicians with accompanying staff and expenses removes the SNP's ability to maintain the high profile it became used to across most of Scotland. The SNP does not have alternative sources of income to fill this massive gap." And he's right. And I think the SNP are going to struggle. They're going to struggle because they've got you're just over 18 months before the start of the big start of the campaign for the Holyrood elections, and you don't have the staff to push and all that, and you don't have all the propaganda machine ready to go because you just don't have the staff. You also don't have the money, so there'll be none of this big billboard campaigns and flyers and full colour print. They'll have to get the candidates to pay their own deposits again, at the risk of losing them as well. That never happens. You've got none of those sort of big town halls and the meetings, and because they cost, you have to hire them, and that's expensive. You've got you're moving shortly into conference season. Where are they going to hold a conference? They can't afford it. Last year they went to Aberdeen. They didn't even go into Aberdeen. Went outside of Aberdeen to the cheapest place they could get, and then they had to move the people around and take a picture, and then move them all over here and take the picture to make it look as though the hall was full. And then you see the other picture, and it was just a big, vast, empty hall, quite embarrassingly empty. And they're going to have it again. Well, I think next year you go to some village hall, won't you? And then hope that somebody turns up and it's not raining. Get the vicar round and a cup of tea for everyone that's there coming in. Offer them free cake and sandwiches to get people in the door. And of course, at the top of all this, they've got all the legal defence stuff that they're probably going to have to put up. Nobody knows if they've repaid Murrell. It's all bad. It's the end. I think it's terminal. I think they're in that end game now. I don't think they can save it. I don't think they can save the party. And with branch form and Operation Copa going on, the perception by even now amongst its own members of corruption, it's a dead party walking, isn't it? It'll be lucky to make it, I think, to the Holyrood elections. If it does, it's going to offer no challenge because it just doesn't have the money or the staff or anything. 10 million a year wagged away because of their single-minded obsession and failure to address the problems of Scotland. Well done, SNP. Well done. Thank you very much. Bye.